Sagittarius. Why are Sagittarius so powerful? 6 secrets you never knew. Prepare to be amazed. Sagittarius, your strength has always been a paradox. It isn't the kind of strength that shouts or demands to be seen. It lives quietly in the spaces where no one is watching. In the way you endure without bitterness, dream without apology, and keep walking even when the world hands you every reason to stop. Today, we are not here to glorify the loud victories the world easily recognizes. We are here to explore the deeper layers, the 6 silent, sacred secrets that make you powerful beyond what others can understand. Secrets that don't just define your resilience, but reveal the extraordinary spirit you were born to embody. If you've ever been misunderstood for being too hopeful, too restless, too sensitive, this message is for you. If you are walking the thin line between holding on and letting go, know that you are not lost. You are simply stepping closer to the truest version of yourself. Stay with me through this journey. Let your heart, not just your mind, be open. And if, by the end of this, you feel something inside you soften or awaken, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Not out of obligation, but because someone else might need the same reminder you are about to receive today. Gate 1. They know how to protect their spirit without losing their light. Sagittarius, one of your greatest strengths lies in something the world often overlooks: your ability to protect your heart without letting it harden. You move through life with an openness that many admire but few truly understand. It's not naivety. It's a deliberate choice, a quiet, conscious strength. There is a kind of wisdom in you, one that whispers, "Not every bright place is safe." You learned early that not every invitation deserves your presence. You know when to stay, when to observe, and when to retreat into yourself, not out of fear but out of reverence for your own energy. You don't fight to be seen. You don't scramble for recognition. In a world obsessed with noise, you remain steady, moving in ways that seem almost invisible to those who only value the loudest voices. But those who take the time to truly notice you find something unforgettable. A warmth that asks for nothing. A presence that feels like standing under a vast, protective sky. Many mistake your calm for weakness. They think because you don't compete, you must not care. They don't realize that true power doesn't need an audience. Your strength comes from the sacred stillness inside you. The unwavering decision to remain soft, even when life gives you every reason to be hard. You stay open. You stay kind. Not because you are unaware of cruelty, but because you refuse to let it change you. You know that shrinking into cynicism would be the real defeat. And so you keep moving with an invisible armor made not of anger, but of deep, unshakable self-respect. Those lucky enough to have you in their lives rarely understand your impact until you are gone. Because Sagittarius, you don't announce your gifts. You are the gift, the quiet reassurance, the open door, the silent guardian of peace in spaces too used to chaos. You don't tether yourself to people who drain you. When the energy shifts, when respect is lost, when love becomes a transaction instead of a gift, you know it's time to step back. And you do so without dramatics, without needing to justify your departure. Your spirit recognizes when it is no longer being honored, and you have learned to honor yourself first. This ability to protect your own light without extinguishing it is a rare and sacred strength. It means you can walk through betrayals without becoming bitter. You can survive disappointment without losing hope. You can end chapters without closing your heart. In a world that teaches us to fight, to shout, to conquer, your way is different. You win by staying true to yourself. You win by refusing to let external storms dictate the weather inside you. Sagittarius, if you ever wondered why certain endings came quietly into your life, why you drifted away from some people without clear reasons, trust that it was your soul protecting your light. Not everyone is meant to walk the whole journey with you. Not everyone can handle the purity of spirit you carry. And that's not something to grieve, something to honor. Your path is sacred. Your energy is precious. And your ability to remain a bearer of light, even while protecting yourself, is one of the most powerful truths you embody. Gate 1. They know how to protect their spirit without losing their light. Sagittarius, your spirit is not just strong. It is sacred. And one of the deepest powers you carry is your ability to protect your inner world without letting the weight of the outside crush it. You have learned something that many never master: how to guard your heart while keeping it wide open, how to shield your dreams without surrendering their wild beauty. From a young age, you understood that not every environment could nurture your fire. You notice things others didn't. The subtle shifts in energy when someone's words said yes but their spirit said no. The undercurrent of jealousy hiding beneath false encouragement. The way people sometimes celebrated your growth until it threatened their comfort. And instead of letting these realizations make you bitter, you chose a different path. Awareness without hardness, wisdom without walls. You don't always speak of what you sense. Sagittarius energy is too free for that. You don't waste breath proving what your intuition already knows. Instead, you observe. You adjust. You step back when needed. You let the distance speak for you. Many mistake this withdrawal for aloofness or pride. They see your laughter, your passion, your endless curiosity, and they assume you are reckless with your trust. But they don't see the sacred calculations you are making quietly in your heart, measuring not the surface of people's words, but the deeper music of their soul. They don't realize that when you choose to stay close to someone, it is never by accident. It is always a conscious, sovereign choice. The truth is, you can sense when a space is no longer safe for your spirit. You can feel when a connection asks you to shrink rather than expand. And when that happens, Sagittarius, you don't fight. You don't beg for understanding. You simply walk away. Not in anger, but in the deeper loyalty you hold to your own soul. This is a strength few understand. In a world that idolizes confrontation and loud declarations, your quiet exits are often misread. But you know better. True power does not always need noise. True power sometimes chooses to leave a space before it must burn it down. You don't abandon easily. No, you stay longer than most, often giving second chances long after others would have left. Because at your core, Sagittarius, you believe in potential. You see the good even when it's buried. You hope for transformation even when the signs are faint. That is your gift. And sometimes it is also your burden. Protecting your spirit has never been about building walls. You don't lock yourself away from the world. You simply refine your boundaries like an archer adjusting their aim. You choose where to pour your energy. You recognize that your light is precious, not because it is rare, but because it is sacred. There are moments when this protection looks like silence. When instead of explaining how you were hurt, you choose to step away. There are moments when it looks like laughter. When you use humor to deflect negativity without letting it touch the core of who you are. And there are moments when it looks like relentless forward motion. When you simply keep moving, leaving behind those who cannot walk beside you without trying to cage your spirit. Imagine the Sagittarius who dreams of starting a life abroad. While friends and family insist they settle down, stay safe, follow the known path. It would be easier to compromise, to dim their fire just enough to be accepted. But the Sagittarius heart knows. Safety at the cost of self-betrayal is no safety at all. So they quietly plan, save, hope, and one day they leave. Not out of rebellion, but out of love for their own destiny. Or imagine the Sagittarius who loves someone deeply, only to realize that love is becoming a negotiation. A constant bending, a silent erosion of their true self. Instead of fighting bitterly, instead of forcing someone to understand what should have been honored naturally, they release. They mourn. They heal. And they continue their journey, wounded perhaps but not broken. This is your pattern, Sagittarius. You protect your spirit not through control, not through manipulation, but through sovereign, self-respecting choice. The world often sees sensitivity as fragility, but you know sensitivity is a weapon and a guide. It is what alerts you when a room's energy turns hostile. It is what tells you when a conversation, a career path, a friendship is no longer aligned with your highest truth. And unlike many, you have the courage to act on those whispers, even when it costs you familiarity, comfort, or belonging. The fire in you is not a raging wildfire that burns everything in its path. It is the steady flame of a soul that refuses to be extinguished. You protect it fiercely, not by hardening but by choosing again and again to place yourself where your light can thrive. There is nothing passive about your gentleness. There is nothing naive about your optimism. To stay open-hearted in a world that rewards cynicism is a revolutionary act. To keep believing in love, in dreams, in second chances without sacrificing discernment is a strength few can comprehend. Sagittarius, if you have ever wondered why certain paths grew cold, why certain people drifted away without explanation, trust that it was your soul choosing survival over approval. Trust that the quiet departures were part of your protection, even when they left you aching. You are not here to make yourself small to fit into shrinking spaces. You are not here to compromise your truth just to be tolerated. You are here to expand, to journey into larger and larger versions of yourself. And that expansion requires room. It requires faith. It requires the ruthless, tender art of choosing yourself over and over again. Protecting your spirit is not selfish. It is sacred stewardship. It is the highest form of loyalty, to your path, to your purpose, to the universe that trusted you enough to send you here with a light so uniquely yours. You don't owe explanations for the choices you make to stay whole. You don't owe anyone a watered-down version of your soul. Your only task is to remain faithful to the fire within you, and to trust that those meant to walk beside you will find their way to your flame, not try to put it out. Keep guarding your light, Sagittarius. Not by hiding it, but by shining it where it is safe, where it is honored, where it can set the world ablaze with truth, freedom, and healing, just as you were born to do. Gate 2. They let go with grace, the silent endings that mark a new beginning. Sagittarius, your life has always been a series of silent evolutions. You are not the kind to hold on to what no longer nourishes you, and even though your heart is capable of the deepest loyalty, you understand that true loyalty can never come at the price of self-betrayal. When a chapter in your life begins to dim your spirit instead of expanding it, you know, often long before anyone else does, that it's time to step away, not with anger, not with blame, but with a quiet grace that only souls who have suffered and survived with dignity understand. You do not announce your departures. You do not create scenes or force explanations. You slip away like the tide, knowing that sometimes the most sacred act of love, for yourself and for others, is letting go before resentment can take root. There is a rare strength in the way you end things, Sagittarius, a kind of silent nobility that refuses to tarnish what was once beautiful, even if it no longer fits who you are becoming. Think about that friendship you held on to for years, the one where you used to laugh until your stomach hurt, where secrets were shared under late-night skies, where promises were made in the naive belief that some things would never change. And yet slowly, without either of you noticing at first, the energy shifted. Conversations that once flowed effortlessly became strained. The silences grew heavier. The laughter started to feel forced. You didn't leave in anger. You didn't demand closure. You simply recognized, in that intuitive way you do, that the season of that connection had passed. And so you stepped back, honoring what it was without clinging to what it could no longer be. Or consider the job you once dreamed of, the position you fought hard to earn, the title that once made you feel proud. For a time it nourished you, challenged you, it gave you a sense of purpose. But somewhere along the way, the excitement dulled into routine, and the spark that once drove you began to flicker under the weight of expectations that no longer aligned with your soul. You didn't storm out. You didn't burn bridges. You quietly realigned yourself with your true path, even if it meant starting over, even if it meant facing uncertainty, because deep down you knew that staying would cost you more than leaving ever could. Sagittarius, your endings are rarely born from sudden explosions. They are slow awakenings, internal shifts, private reckonings. You feel the dissonance long before it manifests on the surface. You sense when a connection, a place, a dream is asking you to shrink rather than grow. And while others might stay for comfort, for fear, for familiarity, you, brave soul that you are, choose freedom over false security. Letting go does not mean you didn't care. It doesn't mean you didn't try hard enough. In fact, most of your silent goodbyes are preceded by endless efforts to heal, to mend, to understand. You give people chances they never even realize they are receiving. You stay longer than most would. You love harder than most dare. And when you finally walk away, it's not because you stopped loving. It's because you started loving yourself enough to know you deserved more. And yes, it hurts. The Sagittarius heart is wide and wild and fiercely tender. You feel your losses not with bitterness but with an aching nostalgia for what could have been. You carry the ghosts of old friendships, old loves, old dreams in your heart longer than you admit. There are nights when a random memory will tighten your chest unexpectedly, mornings when a song, a scent, a certain slant of sunlight will momentarily pull you back into the arms of something that once felt eternal. But even in your grief, you do not curse the past. You honor it for what it taught you. You thank it for what it gave you. And you keep moving forward, knowing that no true growth ever comes without loss. There's a quiet wisdom in the way you handle endings, Sagittarius. It's the wisdom of someone who knows that clinging to what no longer serves you is a kind of slow spiritual death. You understand that life is not meant to be lived in endless cycles of repetition, but in a constant, sacred unfolding. You know that endings are not failures. They are invitations. They are doors swinging open to new landscapes your soul is ready to explore. I once knew a Sagittarius woman who spent a decade building a business from scratch. It was her pride, her joy, her life's work. She poured her heart into every client, every project, every detail. But after years of success, she woke up one morning and realized the business no longer lit her up the way it once had. Her passion had quietly evolved into duty. Her soul was calling her elsewhere. Everyone told her she was crazy to walk away. They said she was throwing away everything she had built. But she smiled that quiet Sagittarius smile, the one that knows what the world cannot see, and she closed the doors with gratitude, not regret. Today, she runs a healing retreat center halfway across the world, waking up every morning to the life her spirit had been dreaming of for years. This is the essence of your power, Sagittarius. The courage to trust that even when you cannot see the whole path, even when you feel the tremble of fear in your chest, even when every voice around you urges you to stay safe, stay known, stay small, you choose the vast unknown. You choose yourself. Not because you are reckless, but because you are faithful to your soul, to your journey, to the sacred unfolding that is your life. So if you are standing at the edge of an ending now, Sagittarius, if you feel the pull of something new but are mourning what you must leave behind, know this: you are not breaking. You are breaking free. You are not losing. You are clearing space. You are not moving backward. You are stepping into the next, truer version of yourself. Let the endings come. Let the old chapters close. Grieve if you must, but do not look back with regret. Every ending you honor with grace becomes a bridge leading you closer to the life you were always meant to live. You have never been meant for cages, Sagittarius. You were born to run free under open skies, to follow the wild call of your spirit wherever it leads you. And sometimes that means walking away without a map, without a clear destination, guided only by the fierce, unbreakable trust that what is waiting for you is better, bigger, more beautiful than anything you are leaving behind. Trust yourself. Trust the endings. Trust the unfolding. Your soul knows the way. Gate 3. The spiritual love Sagittarius has been waiting for. Sagittarius, beneath your wild laughter and fearless pursuit of life, there has always been a quieter longing. The longing not just for adventure, not just for freedom, but for a love that feels like truth. You have tasted many versions of love in your journey. The intense infatuations that burned too fast, the quiet companionships that slowly faded, the wild romances that thrilled but never anchored. Yet through it all, your soul has kept whispering, there is something more. There is something deeper. Don't settle. Keep searching. Spiritual love for you is not about possession, not about filling a void, not about someone completing you. It is about meeting another soul with your whole self intact, offering not a half-built house but a wild open land where two spirits can roam freely together. It is about a connection that doesn't try to tame your fire but dances with it, honors it, and lets it burn even brighter. This kind of love does not come easily. It demands a journey inward before it can ever manifest outward. It requires you to face your own shadows, to heal the parts of you that once mistook chaos for passion, that once confused being needed with being loved. And Sagittarius, you have been doing that work, often without realizing it, through every ending you survived, through every silence you honored, through every dream you dared to rebuild from the ashes. Spiritual love finds you when you are no longer looking for it to save you. Comes when you have already chosen yourself. It comes when your joy is no longer dependent on who stays or who leaves, when your worth is no longer negotiable, when your light no longer flickers with every shift in the wind. It comes quietly, without fanfare, without demands, without drama. Simply is. Imagine a Sagittarius man who spent years chasing love in every corner of the world. Relationships that promised excitement but never depth. Partnerships that offered security but stifled his spirit. One day, after a long period of solitude where he finally stopped running from his own heart, he met someone not in a dazzling moment of fireworks, but in a simple, quiet conversation at a bookstore. There were no grand gestures, no immediate declarations, just a feeling steady, calm, undeniable, that he could be entirely himself, unguarded and unedited. That was the beginning of his true love story. Not the wildest, but the truest. And it changed everything. That is the love you are walking toward, Sagittarius. A love that feels like an open field under the stars, not a cage made pretty with promises. A love that challenges you not through conflict but through invitation. The invitation to stay present, to stay honest, to stay free and still choose to stay connected. It is a love that understands you will always need space to breathe, space to dream, space to be. And instead of resenting that space, it honors it, knowing that in giving you room to roam, they are also giving you reasons to return. This person will not try to mold you into something more convenient. They will not fear your independence or mistake your longing for new horizons as a rejection of intimacy. They will understand that to love a Sagittarius is to love movement, evolution, endless becoming. They will not ask you to stop growing to make them comfortable. They will grow alongside you even if their growth looks different, even if their pace is not the same. And in that mutual evolution, the love will deepen, not diminish. It won't be perfect. No love is. There will still be misunderstandings, moments of insecurity, fears that creep in when old wounds are triggered. But the difference is that this love will not collapse under the weight of those moments. It will not become a battlefield where pride must win and vulnerability must lose. Instead, it will be a sanctuary where truth is allowed to speak, even when it shakes, even when it hurts, even when it demands change. You may recognize this love by the way your body responds to it. Not with adrenaline, not with anxiety, but with peace. With a softening of your muscles. With a slowing of your breath. With a quiet certainty that you are safe, not because everything is perfect, but because you no longer have to fight to be understood. It may come at a time when you are least expecting it, when you are too busy building a life you love to notice who is entering it. It may come disguised as a friendship that deepens over time, or a chance meeting that feels strangely familiar, as if you have known them in 100 different lifetimes. It may not fit the story you once told yourself about how love should arrive, but it will fit your soul in a way nothing else ever has. I once spoke with a Sagittarius woman who told me about the moment she realized she had found her spiritual counterpart. It wasn't during a grand vacation or an elaborate date. It was on an ordinary Wednesday in the kitchen making dinner together after a long day. He looked at her, tired, messy, and perfect, and said simply, "You don't have to be anything but yourself." In that moment she realized. This was the love she had been searching for. The love that did not demand her performance. The love that saw her clearly and chose her anyway. Sagittarius, you have walked through fire to find yourself. You have lost and grieved and rebuilt your heart more times than you can count. You have refused to settle, even when loneliness whispered that maybe you should. You have dared to believe, even when disappointment tried to close your heart. And because of that, you are ready not for a love that completes you, but for a love that recognizes you as already whole. You do not need to chase it. You do not need to beg for it. You only need to keep choosing yourself, keep living your truth, keep honoring the vast, wild, luminous soul that you are. And when the time is right, when the stars align not outside you but within you, that love will arrive. Steady, sacred, unstoppable. It will not ask you to clip your wings. It will marvel at how beautifully you fly. It will not ask you to choose between your freedom and your heart. It will understand that they are the same thing. And together you will build something rare. A love that does not trap but liberates. A love that does not burn out but burns steady. A love that does not demand the sacrifice of your spirit, but becomes the wind at your back, lifting you even higher. This is the spiritual love you were always meant to find. And even more beautiful, it's the love you have already been becoming, every time you chose your truth over your fear. Trust it. Trust yourself. The journey has prepared you more than you know. Conclusion. You were always meant to rise. Sagittarius, if you have journeyed with me through these truths, through these silent powers you carry within you, then you already know. You were never ordinary. You were never meant to live a life confined by fear, never meant to stay small just to be accepted. Every time you protected your spirit instead of letting the world harden you, every time you chose to let go with grace instead of clinging to what no longer fit, every time you believed in love, even when your heart ached from past wounds, you were rising. Quietly, steadily, against all odds, you were becoming the version of yourself the universe dreamed of when it sent you here. You are not defined by what you lost, by who left, by the doors that closed. You are defined by the way you kept your soul intact through it all. The way you kept choosing hope even when despair tried to claim you. There is a fierce softness in you, Sagittarius, a rare and holy contradiction. The ability to hold wild freedom and unwavering devotion in the same breath. That is your magic. That is your strength. Now more than ever, your soul is ready for what is coming. The deeper love. The truer friendships. The dreams that no longer feel like battles but like natural extensions of your being. You are entering a season where you no longer have to fight to be seen. No longer have to justify your hunger for more. No longer have to explain why you refuse to settle for half-lives and half-truths. Your very existence will be its own explanation. So if any part of you has been doubting, if any part of you has been growing weary, take this moment to remember. You have already survived what was meant to break you. You have already walked through storms that others would not even dare to enter. You are not starting from scratch, you are starting from wisdom, from strength, from hard-earned soul-deep knowing. If something within you stirred today, a memory, a hope, a fire that refuses to die, then I invite you to like, share, and subscribe. Not because this journey is over, but because it is just beginning. Because every time we choose to walk this path together, to heal, to awaken, to love more bravely, we make this world a softer, stronger place for everyone. Sagittarius, your story is not about how many times you were broken. It is about how many times you chose to rise. And now, with your heart open, your spirit fierce, and your soul aligned with the vastness of your own truth, you are ready for everything you were always meant to become. The horizon is calling you. And this time you do not walk toward it alone. You walk with the full power of a soul who finally knows its worth.